Манзай, уеби хоть один! Четвертая рота, внимательно за передним краем, блядь, чтоб на вас сейчас не пошли.
Вижу, русь наблюдай.
Давай следующий на всякий пожарный.
Да, плюс.
Да, блядь, да, сука!
Больше дымок наших нет. Все, они закончили, что на ваш.
Еще лежит!
Машина подорвалась вторая?
At dawn, under a sky still heavy with mist and the distant rumble of artillery, Russian armored forces launched what commanders described as a daring and decisive push through Ukrainian defensive lines. Columns of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles rolled forward with engines roaring, their silhouettes cutting through the gray morning as the assault began. The operation appeared designed to overwhelm Ukrainian positions through speed and sheer firepower, aiming to punch a hole in the defenses before resistance could fully mobilize.
Д-30 огонь! Ворон, подлети ближе, сильно далеко, нихуя не видно. Д-30 огонь!
According to battlefield reports, the Russian advance focused on a strategically vital sector of the front line, where control of a key road junction could open access to surrounding villages and supply routes. Armored units moved in tight formations, supported by self-propelled artillery firing from the rear. The initial momentum suggested confidence as Russian forces pressed forward with little hesitation, believing Ukrainian troops in the area had been weakened by weeks of constant fighting.
Ярослав, 120-й где? Наведен? 120-й огонь!
However, Ukrainian defenders had been watching closely. Reconnaissance drones had tracked the buildup hours before the assault began, transmitting real-time footage to command posts hidden deep behind the lines. Ukrainian officers quickly realized that this was not a probing attack but a full-scale armored thrust, and they ordered frontline units to prepare for a brutal clash that would test both discipline and endurance. As the Russian armor crossed open ground, Ukrainian artillery suddenly came alive. Precision-guided shells slammed into the leading vehicles, forcing the column to slow and break formation. Explosions echoed across the fields, sending plumes of smoke skyward and disrupting the carefully planned advance. What had looked like a coordinated push quickly began to fragment under the unexpected intensity of the defensive fire. Ukrainian anti-tank teams, concealed in tree lines and ruined buildings, waited for the right moment. When the Russian vehicles moved closer, they struck with deadly accuracy, launching missiles from multiple directions. Tanks attempted to maneuver and return fire, but the confined terrain and damaged vehicles made coordinated movement increasingly difficult. The battlefield turned into a chaotic maze of smoke, fire, and confusion. Russian infantry dismounted under pressure, attempting to secure flanks and clear suspected Ukrainian positions. But they were met by well-prepared defensive lines, reinforced with trenches, obstacles, and overlapping fields of fire. Ukrainian soldiers held their ground, using their knowledge of the terrain to blunt every attempt to push deeper into their defenses. Overhead, Ukrainian drones continued to circle silently, guiding artillery and anti-tank strikes with chilling precision. Each movement of Russian armor was quickly detected and targeted, leaving little room for surprise. Commanders on the Russian side struggled to regain control as communication lines became strained and units reported mounting losses. As the battle intensified, Russian artillery attempted to suppress Ukrainian positions, unleashing heavy barrages across suspected defensive zones. The ground shook under the impact, and debris rained down on both sides. Yet, despite the relentless shelling, Ukrainian units remained operational, relocating between prepared positions and maintaining steady resistance against the advancing forces. The turning point came when Ukrainian reserves were committed to the fight. Fresh units moved swiftly to seal gaps and counterattack vulnerable sections of the Russian column. Strikes against logistical vehicles and command elements further disrupted the assault, depriving frontline units of coordination and support at the most critical moment. What began as a bold armored thrust now faced the risk of encirclement. Damaged vehicles blocked narrow routes, slowing retreat and creating bottlenecks under continuous fire. Russian crews attempted emergency repairs or abandoned immobilized equipment, while others fought desperately to hold their positions amid mounting pressure.
Да, сука!
Больше темок наших нет. Все, они закончились, только ваши.
Еще лежит!
Машина подорвалась вторая.
By midday, the battlefield told a starkly different story than the one envisioned at dawn. Smoke hung thick in the air, and the once confident advance had stalled completely. Ukrainian forces, though exhausted, maintained control of key defensive points, demonstrating resilience forged through months of relentless combat along the front line. Military analysts observing the clash noted that the failed push highlighted the evolving nature of modern warfare, where drones, precision weapons, and rapid intelligence sharing can neutralize even heavily armored formations. The engagement underscored how difficult it has become to achieve a breakthrough without overwhelming air superiority and flawless coordination. For Ukrainian troops on the ground, the outcome was both a tactical success and a psychological boost. Holding the line against a determined armored assault reinforced confidence in their defenses and command structure. Soldiers reported that morale remained high despite the constant strain of combat and the knowledge that further attacks could follow. On the Russian side, the setback raised questions about strategy and execution. The loss of momentum and equipment in such a high-risk operation demonstrated the dangers of underestimating a well-prepared defender. The battlefield lessons learned from this clash are likely to influence future operations on both sides of the conflict. The sounds of battle gradually faded, replaced by the distant hum of drones and sporadic artillery fire. The daring push through Ukrainian defenses had ended not in a breakthrough, but in a costly stalemate. For now, the front line held, a stark reminder that in this war, every advance is paid for dearly, and victory is never guaranteed.